yeah, if you think you're going to do it in your own strength, then you know what? Yeah, you can do it.
COVID, it's been helping people move their businesses from offline or brick and mortar to online.
Systems are more important than skills as an entrepreneur today.
It's totally okay to reinvent yourself multiple times, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Welcome to Profitable Coaching Conversations with WendyY Bailey. If you're a coach, speaker, or industry expert, you're in the right place for sales and marketing wisdom and insight to grow your coaching business. Now, here's your host, income acceleration mentor, WendyY Bailey.
Hello and happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to be here. We've took a brief hiatus, but we're back now. And in the last show, I told you that the next show that I did live was going to be all about sales. So we're going to talk about sales. I'm going to share some nuggets with you. This is the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with yours truly, WendyY Bailey. I'm excited to be here because sales is one of the topics that I find myself talking to all of my clients about because it is sort of mysterious. It is sort of scary. It's daunting for us as coaches because we just want to help people. Well, I'm going to demystify sales today and support you with some essential skills and knowledge that's going to help you think differently about sales. When I was preparing the content for today's show, I kept thinking, I need to make sure they have enough information to reframe how they think about sales. And if you understand reframing as coaches, we talk about it, we do it a lot in our work with our clients. But when you think about reframing, it's putting it in a different context, giving you a different perspective about that so that it can help you and support you in moving forward. So think of today as a reframe of sales. Demystification, sure, but I'm going to reframe the whole thing. And let me, by way of introduction, tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm qualified to actually share this with you. In a couple of weeks, I can't believe it's been this long, but I will be in my business full-time as a coach for 22 years. You see on all of my banners that it says 21 years, so you're going to see that flip to 22 years. Can't believe it's been that long, but it has been a long and really great journey for me in the coaching profession. I was a coach when it was still not necessarily trending. It was just beginning to become something popular for people, and people were reaching out to hire coaches. So I've been here through a lot of industry changes and shifts and evolution and revolution and all that kind of stuff. I was here. I became a coach right before Thomas Leonard passed away. He's known as the father of modern day coaching. So if you don't know who he is, look him up. But I was here back then. And, you know, my business and my role as a coach has shifted and changed and evolved over the years to the point that about 8 years ago now, I rebranded, I relaunched. And when I rebranded and I relaunched, I became the Income Acceleration Mentor. That's my moniker. It's because I show my clients how to double, triple, quadruple, quintuple their income. It's about growing and scaling using operational strategies, systemization, along with operational marketing, messaging, and strategy, and then sales. So sales is a really big part of the work that I do with my clients. Sales includes not just understanding the nuances of selling. It includes the sales. I want to say something other than strategy. So it includes whatever sales techniques. It includes sales understanding and know-how. It also includes knowing how to increase your sales. So it includes pricing. And when I work with my clients on pricing, I usually blow the doors out because most coaches are undercharging. And so today I'm going to talk about sales specifically. Not going to talk about pricing today, but I am going to get into that in a future episode. But sales is so much a big part of what you do when you're a coach that you cannot be scared of it. You cannot see it as daunting. So hopefully today, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, hopefully today you can feel like you've gotten a new perspective about sales and selling, and it helps you to go out and sell more in your coaching business. So let's get underway. I've got 5 things I'm going to talk with you about. First of all, let me say, when you think of sales, I want you to start to view it as a conversation. And what I mean by conversation, not just your one-on-one sessions. And I've heard that a lot of people are no longer doing one-on-one coaching sessions. I don't know why, because they work. Okay, because they work. So don't stop doing them just because you think nobody's doing them, because one-on-one sessions work. But sales or selling comes in a one-on-one conversation. It comes in a one-to-one one-to-many conversation where you're one person speaking to many people from a stage, in a group coaching setting, in a webinar, in a workshop, in a seminar, whether you're speaking again from the stage, maybe you're doing some consulting in a group. That is a sales conversation as well. Okay. So sales is a conversation. The other part about sales being a conversation is you understand that it's two-way communication. You know your audience, they know you, you talk to your audience, they talk back to you. And so the thing about a conversation is understanding the language of sales for your most ideal client specifically. Now, you hear me say this, if you've been around me any length of time, you've heard me say, you've got to know who your ideal client is. You've got to know who your most ideal client is. Otherwise, you're trying to appeal to the masses, and the masses are not your target. You want a specific ideal client to surface. And based on that ideal client surfacing, you know who that ideal client is. You understand age, you understand gender, you understand, occupation or type of business or type of work, or what makes them your ideal client. All of those really yummy characteristics that make them your ideal client. You got to know that. If you are someone who is posting a lot on social media, you got to go to your clients where they are. You can't reach everybody on TikTok. You can't reach everybody on Instagram. You can't reach everybody on Facebook. You can't reach everybody on LinkedIn. Now, I'm saying it that way because I want you to understand, when you know your ideal client really well, what happens is you know to go to those spaces and places where you'll connect with them. And connect with them is what you truly want to do when you're appealing to your ideal client. I want to get back to this language for just a second. When I talk about you understanding the language of your ideal client, it's so easy to slip into coaching jargon when you're trying to talk to your most ideal client, when you're doing the one-on-one, the groups, whatever the case is, the one-to-many. It's so easy to slip into jargon, but what happens is if you use too much jargon, your ideal clients won't understand what you can really do to support them and serve them. So you've got to be free of jargon. That means you've got to know the language. How do you know the language, WendyY? Well, you pay attention, you listen, you ask questions. The clients that you're currently working with, that are your most ideal client, you need to find out and listen to what they say their most common challenges are. You've got to listen to what they say their aspirational goals are. Then you can understand the language of your most ideal clients in a very specific way, and you can speak that into your selling conversations, okay, into your sales conversations. I also want to make sure that when you are thinking of conversation, remember, sales is a conversation. That's my first point. When you're looking at your conversation, you're paying attention to what's said and what's not said too, because sometimes people will show you better than they can tell you. You can see how they behave in the marketplace. You can see how they behave in their careers, in their family life. You can listen to them. And I want you never to stop talking and listening to your most ideal clients, because it's so important to you to be able to hear them, to be able to see them, to be able to recognize what their language really is. The last thing I'll say is people come to you because they want something changed in their lives. They want a transformation, right? They want to see something different. They want to experience something different. And because they want to experience that, your sales language must also include the language of transformation. And how do you find that, WendyY? You listen to your ideal clients and they will tell you what's most important to them. They will tell you what transformation they're seeking. They will tell you what challenges are getting in the way of them achieving that transformation. You want to pay attention to your ideal clients really, really closely. Now, there's a trend that I've seen, and I don't mean to knock it, okay, but I'm going to knock it. There's a trend that I see, and I know it's because there's so many people in the marketplace right now where there are tons of people reaching out for you in your inbox. They're sending you a friend request on Facebook so that they can inbox you on Messenger. Oh, it drives me up a tree because I'm like, that is so... It doesn't fare well for me, because I like somebody to connect with me because they're genuinely interested in connecting with me, because they're genuinely interested in getting to know me, not because they want to invite me to a group on Facebook, not because they want to sell me something, not because organically, I'm sure that works for some people. It doesn't work for me. I even had a strategy outlined where I was going to follow that same suit, and it just felt icky to me. And I said, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. So when you think of reaching out to find out about your most ideal client, just talk to people. Just reach out and say, I want to get some information from you. If you think someone is your most ideal client, then, find a way to lend them a survey. So in that survey, they can tell you what their greatest aspirations are, what their challenges are, or what's going on with them that makes them an ideal client for you. What's going on with them that you can understand the language of the transformation they're seeking. So my first point about sales demystified is to understand that sales is a conversation. Whether it's one-to-one or one-to-many, sales is a conversation. It includes the language of transformation. It includes you listening and paying attention and responding to what's said and what's not said. And it also is focused on your ideal client. Sales is a conversation with your ideal client. Okay, that's number one. Number two, sales is not transactional. That's going to throw a lot of people off, because everybody seems to think that you're not selling until you get to that moment where you say, I'll take your credit card number, right? No, sales is not transactional. Sales is also transformational or transformative. Okay. What I mean by that is, when you're in a sales conversation, it begins as soon as you connect with that most ideal client. It doesn't start when you start talking about getting paid. Okay. And when you think of sales less than that transactional piece of it, and you think more of it being transformative and transformational, what happens is you meet people in compassion, in consideration, in care. You meet them in a way that says, I really want to serve you. I want to serve you. When you're in the mode of serving your client, it's transformative, because it's deeper, it's authentic, it's real, it's lasting, right? When you are in your sales conversations with your ideal client, I want to tie this back to number one, you want to understand what you're really doing to serve your most ideal client. How are you going to serve them? What service do you offer that's really going to be a game changer for them? Selling is not transactional, it's transformative or transformational. Now, the reason I use the two is because we say transformational all the time, but when I went to look it up in the dictionary, it says transformative. It doesn't say transformational. So somewhere along the way, we made up a word, and I love that we made up the word transformational. So sales is not transactional, it's transformational or transformative. I remember years ago, I had a colleague, and she's still in the marketplace, but she's doing something different now. And one of the things she used to say is, when you look at your ideal client, what you have to understand is your ideal client is coming to you because you are the person they truly believe can help change their lives, their workplace, their businesses for the better. And you owe them the opportunity to work with you because they can only get what they need from you. Let me say it again. Your most ideal client is seeking you because they can only get the service they need. They can only get the program or product that they need from you. So you have a responsibility to show up in the marketplace to help them achieve that transformation they're seeking. When you look at it that way, I told you this is all about reframe. This whole episode is about reframe. When you understand that you're there to provide your clients with a service, and when you provide them with a service, they know they need it exactly from you. It makes a world of difference in how they show up to work with you as well. And it really holds you accountable for being responsible to helping them meet the need that they're looking to meet. I love this particular point because that transaction is going to happen, right? You know, at some point you're going to ask for a credit card, or you're going to have them, you're going to make an offer and they're going to buy from you. That's the hope. That's the transaction part. But long before you get to that, you're listening, you're paying attention, you're recognizing how you can serve, you're recognizing what you can do to serve, you're caring about them moving out of the space that they're in into a space of promise and hope and achievement and triumph. And all of that really requires that you see sales as transformative or transformational. You must see sales in a way that reflects the service you're willing, ready, and able to offer your most ideal clients. Okay. Let me see. I think I covered everything on that one. So the third thing I'm going to share, actually, before I share that, let's go to a quick break. And when we come back, I'll get into the third point because it's really yummy and juicy. So I want to save it for after the break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Thacker, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I am Marquessa Petway, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, and you've tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. Spread some cred dust by liking, commenting, reviewing, and subscribing now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Welcome back to the show. I love those little snips because, I get to see those friends of mine who have become part of the whole movement that is this show over the years. It's just great to see them and hear them talk. So I've been talking about demystifying sales. I told you from the beginning that today is all about reframing your thoughts around sales, reframing what you view as a sales conversation. And so the first thing I said was sales is a conversation, whether it's one-to-one or one-to-many, you're still in conversation, and it really involves your most ideal client specifically. Okay. The second thing I talked about was looking at sales as not transactional, but as transformative or transformational. When you look at it that way, there's a level of consideration and compassion and authenticity with which you serve your most ideal client. So the third one I told you is pretty yummy and juicy. So let me get to it. Sales is transformative, which I mentioned before, but it involves intentional orchestration and compassionate consideration. Now, let me tell you what I mean. When I talk about intentional orchestration, it means you need to understand how the sales process works for your most ideal client. And when you understand that, you can literally map out your process so that it serves and supports them in the moment. And here's what I mean. You need to know before, during, and after the sales conversation what happens. If you're speaking one-on-one, know what you need to do to offer that one-on-one conversation with the client before the conversation happens. Know what's going to happen during the conversation. Okay. That's part of the orchestration. And then know what's going to happen after the one-on-one conversation. And the same thing applies for one-to-many. Know what you're going to say before. I hear speakers say it all the time, and I'm a speaker, so I get it. You need to know who your audience is before you take the stage. That's a before the sales conversation, because you need to be able to language what you're saying. You need to be able to connect with them. You need to be able to share stories that are selling stories. That's part of the orchestration. the intentional orchestration. And then after you're speaking from the stage, you need to know where you want them to go to, what you want them to do after that. That requires a real intentional orchestration. Okay. So don't be afraid to say, okay, I'm speaking to this audience. So let me find out more about this audience. Don't be afraid to ask questions before you get to a session, a one-on-one session, or a workshop, or a seminar, or a consulting gig where you're coaching people in a group, or consulting people in a group, coaching people in a group. What I want you to understand is there's a before, there's a during, and there's an after that requires orchestration on your part. During the sales conversation, once you do enough of this group or one-on-one sales conversation kind of coaching, you'll start to understand exactly what you need to orchestrate. You need to orchestrate the time. You need to orchestrate where you're going in your sessions or in your workshops. You need to orchestrate that. You need to orchestrate what you say and when you make transitions into what most people view as sales, that is the transaction. You need to know how you're going to segue to make your offer and what you're going to say to address any objections. That has to be part of your orchestration. And then after that, you need to orchestrate where they go. What do you want them to do afterwards? Do you send them an agreement? Do you, whatever it is, send them agreement, you send them a credit card authorization, you take the credit card, you add them to a particular mailing list, you send them a thank you note, you send them a welcome gift. All of that is part of your orchestration of the sales after the sales conversation. It's still part of your selling process, but it is something that you must orchestrate in order to get there, right? I told you guys, this is the yummy part, because this is the part most people miss. I've been on the receiving end of people selling me, and before I knew it, they were making me an offer and they hadn't even shook my hand and got to know me. They weren't using my language. They were quick to say, we're offering this. Do you want to do this now? And I felt I was taken aback by it, because I didn't realize they were getting ready to shift to that transaction part of it. And it was off-putting. So when you orchestrate your sales conversations, what happens is you get really, really good at those segues. You get really, really comfortable and confident in connecting with your client so that it doesn't come across as this stark sales pitch. Right. And I hate the word pitch too. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. When you are intentionally orchestrating your sales conversations with your clients, you're positioning yourself for greater success. So think about how you want to orchestrate your sales conversations. Remember, it is about the transformation that you're in with the client, not the transaction. Okay. If your client is smart, and I know your clients are smart, right? Then they understand that at some point you may make them an offer, but you've got to put them at ease before you get to that offer in order to serve them more fully. The second part of what I said was sales involves compassionate consideration. Compassionate consideration. It means that you're not just talking all the time. You're listening, right? Either one-to-one or one-to-many. You're paying attention to what your audience or what your clients really, really need. What silence is always a good indication that something is going on. And it doesn't mean that you need to talk through the silence. It means you need to listen through the silence. Sometimes silence comes up when you are faced with objections. The client has an objection, but they haven't expressed it. It's an opportunity for you through your orchestration to consider whatever those objections are to working with you, your offer, whatever that is. So compassionate consideration is what we're talking about. You need to be gentle. You need to listen. You need to pay attention to what's going on so that you can properly address that and reflect to the client that you do consider them. It's authentic that you consider them. It's with care and compassion, that you're listening, that you're addressing whatever objections or whatever else is coming up for you. I've just been on this tear when I've talked to people where if they don't treat me with consideration, I'm ready to end the call right there. I'm done. I'm done. Because they have an agenda, and because of their agenda, they're not paying attention to what I need as a potential client. And so that's what I'm saying to you. Think of your clients and recognize that they have needs, and your program, service, or product is designed to help them and support them in addressing those needs, right? So when you're addressing those needs with the client, right, it requires compassionate consideration. So you're listening, you're paying attention, and it's not about getting to that finish line, if you will. Over time, I tell my clients this all the time, over time, you get to a point where, because you've orchestrated so much, you've put structure in place to hold you in that space so that you can hold your client in that space, and you can be much more successful in your selling. The orchestration or the structure gives you that, right? I've got a product called Discovery Sessions That Sell, and I go through all of this in great detail. If you want it, let me know and I'll send it to you. Okay. It's a nominal fee, but I'll send it to you. But what I want you to understand is there's nothing wrong with that orchestration. There's nothing wrong with you intentionally orchestrating your sales conversation with compassionate consideration, because it shows that you care about your ideal clients and what they need. Sometimes your ideal clients may not need what you're offering in that moment at that time. Well, that's okay. How you handle that is equally important. Yeah, because they're looking for you to reflect, to reveal how you're going to handle that. And that will help them determine if they want to continue working with you beyond that session or that time you're talking. Okay. So number one, I said, was sales is a conversation with your most ideal client. Number two, sales is not transactional. The sales conversation is really about transformation. Okay. Number three, I spent a lot of time talking about sales being about intentional orchestration and compassionate consideration. If you don't hear anything else I've talked about today, those are the two areas that I want you to really, really focus on. Remember, this is about reframing your thinking about sales so that you can show up authentically to serve your most ideal clients in a sales conversation. Okay. So number four, okay, I'm going to drive this one home because I talked about it a little bit before. Sales requires your orchestration skills. And I mentioned it before, but I'm really going to talk about it now. It's about structure. It's about structure. If you're on a discovery call, one of the things I tell you is if you talk to a client for more than an hour, you've given away too much content, you've spent more time than you needed, you need to have your eye on the clock, one-to-one or one-to-many. You need to be the one guiding and driving that timeline. And so your orchestration skills, if you're listening to anything I've talked about, have to be really, really good. And they only get good the more you orchestrate, the more you put structure in place, the more you operate with this intentional orchestration and compassionate consideration, the more important those orchestration skills become, and the more successful you will be in your selling. I mentioned it before, but knowing what to do before, during, or after the sale and after the sale has to be something that you do. And you may be saying, well, Wendy, how do I know what I need to do before, during, and after? Well, sit down and I want you to make 3 columns. Before is the first column, during is the second column, and after is the third column. So anytime you're speaking one-on-one or one-to-many, fill up that column with what you need to do before. I told you before. Before is what needs to happen before your conversation begins. What needs to happen? When you're speaking from the stage, you need to know your audience, right? When you're speaking from a one-on-one perspective, you need to know the ideal client that you're speaking to. One of the ways that I find out for the one-on-one discovery session or something like that, a one-on-one sales conversation, is I ask questions ahead of time. Put together a survey that those one-on-one people with one-on-one conversations you're having sales conversations with will recognize what it is they need to tell you before they get there so that you can help them once they get in the session. And that's how you position it. Here's a little questionnaire. It'll help me get to know you better. And based on getting to know you better, I'll know exactly how I can help you when you get to the session. If you want to do that when you're speaking, do it with the meeting planner, do it with the conference organizer, do it with whoever it is that's organizing the event so that you can ask the right questions of them and they can tell you who their audience is. They can tell you about the audience you're going to be speaking to from the stage. One-on-one, group, consulting, coaching, workshop, seminar, same thing. Lots of things you can do before. What do you do during? You need to know, again, during that, your eye is on the clock. So if you have so much time to speak or so much time in this session, I like to do 90-minute discovery sessions, right? 90-minute discovery sessions. And I charge for them because I know I'm going to give away a lot of content. I know I'm going to add value in a big way, right? So think about what you're saying and where you're going in that 90 minutes. You may want to do 30 minutes. You may want to do 60 minutes. But the ideal timeline for you as a coach when you're doing a one-on-one discovery call is somewhere between 50 to 60 minutes. That gives you time to comfortably watch that clock, manage the segues, make your offer, address objections so that you can get to the transaction and complete the sale. Yeah, 50 to 60 minutes is what you need in those one-on-ones. As you get more comfortable with the orchestration of that time during the session, then you may be able to shorten that. Or you may do like I did and make it longer so that it adds value, right? At a different level. Based on that value at a different level, then you can charge for it, right? Don't just charge for your time. Make sure you know the value the client is going to get out of those during times. That's what's really, really important. Okay. You also, as you're, orchestrating the clock and what you need to do in that session, you also need to be able to understand the segues. You need to know when you're going to shift from we're in coaching mode to now we're getting ready to talk about the transaction piece and what it takes to hire me. You need to know the language of that. You need to understand how that shows up for you and what it shows up for you for the client to understand that you're there to be authentic and of service. And you need to make sure you're comfortable and confident making your offer in a way that your client totally gets it, right? You need to know that you're making an offer that speaks to your most ideal client in a way that makes them really want to say yes to what you offer. You need to know what your offer is. Sometimes people go into those one-on-one sessions or even, from the stage in groups, and they don't know what kind of offer they're going to make. Before you do a speaking gig, you need to find out if you can make an offer, because everybody doesn't allow you to make an offer from their stage. So that's part of the before, but you got to know that during so that you know what you can offer and how to language that offer using the sales language of your most ideal clients. I know, is it kind of fitting together now? Is it starting to become clear now? I hope so. Because again, this has been about demystifying sales for you. Sales is a conversation with your most ideal client. Sales is, go back to my notes. Sales is not a transaction. It's a transformation that's involved in that. And then this third one is sales involves intentional orchestration and compassionate consideration. I'm looking at my notes because I love the language that I've chosen to use for you. Intentional orchestration, and compassionate consideration. So you've got to know how to language your offer in that same way. Number 4 is about your orchestration skills. I talked about before, I talked about during. Let's talk about after. After, again, is, do you send them a welcome kit, and what's in your welcome kit? Do you send them a couple of downloads that you're giving them as bonuses because they signed on to work with you? Are you adding them to a special list on your mailing list, a special segment of your mailing list, because they're not quite ready now, but you know they are going to benefit from getting information from you? Do you set up your next call? What happens after the one-on-one with them? What happens after the group? If you're speaking from the stage, you need to know how you did. You want to get those surveys out so people come back and they comment on what they learned from your message, what their experience was when you were speaking from the stage. There's a lot of after that you've got to orchestrate in order to do that. So all of this point has been about, you've got to strengthen your orchestration skills before, during, and after the sales conversation, before, during, and after your one-on-one discovery call, before, during, and after your one-to-many group call, your webinar, your seminar, your speaking from the stage. Before, during, and after requires orchestration, and you've got to get really, really good at that. Like, one of the things that I like to do when it comes to the one-on-one discovery session is, I like to make sure I'm top of mind with folks, right? I like to give them a piece of content that adds value for wherever they are, right? And the only way you get good at having lots of good content is to create it from what you're hearing from your most ideal clients along the way. You got to make sure you know with great clarity what's going on, and then you've got a piece of content that you've developed over time, and that's what's happened with me. If you don't have the content, create the content. It can be a 1-page with 5 items. It can be a 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs that give them some insight and some opportunities to think. As I've created content over the years, what I found is a lot of my content fits together. So if I have 3 different pieces of content related to the same thing, I can combine it and have a really robust piece of content. So think of how you can serve the client after that time of the sales conversation, before, during, and after. And then the last point I want to give you, but let's go to a quick break. Oh, I was trying to figure out why my numbers were off. It's because I padded something. And yeah, my numbers are, I'm going to give you the last one, but let's go to a quick break. And when we come back, I'll give you the last point, and I'll tell you how you can stay in touch with me and what we're working on right now. We'll be right back.
Hi there, I'm Robert Kennedy III, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversations Show with WendyY Bailey. Don't forget to like, comment, review, and subscribe right now so that you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Tim Fitzpatrick, and you're tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversations Show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Dr. Denise Dennis, and you are tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversations Show with WendyY Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode happens.
Being a member of a business mastermind can lead to exponential growth in your coaching business and in your bottom line. But how do you know if the mastermind is right for you? The right mastermind offers an opportunity for you to discover new growth insights and proven business strategies while putting them into practice with the right tools to grow and scale your coaching business. The right mastermind connects you to other high-achieving coaches so you can partner and collaborate. The right mastermind guides your efforts to grow and scale your coaching business. In just a few days, I'm hosting an information call so you can discover how to reserve your seat in the Profitable Coaches Mastermind. You can get all the details at profitablecoachesmastermind.com. You're invited to join this group networking and strategy call, and it's absolutely free. And so is the mastermind. That's right, the Profitable Coaching Mastermind is a high value complementary opportunity for you to discover how to grow your coaching business. It's also a hands-on workshop designed to offer strategy to scale your coaching business. It's also an activation session with implementation tools you can use to grow and scale your coaching business. That's right, the Profitable Coaching Mastermind is totally complimentary. So save your spot so you can discover how to join the mastermind. This is not a sales call. Nothing will be sold. There will be no selling. There will be no offer. It is an opportunity, so save your spot. This is your opportunity for a collaborative interview, and you get to ask questions and get answers. Hi, Income Acceleration Mentor WendyY Bailey here, and I'm so excited about the Profitable Coaches Mastermind. The information call is designed to give you a little bit more information about it and for you to sort of decide if it's the right time for you at this point. Remember, we cut that a little bit early, but it's a great opportunity for you to check out. Are we still live? Yes, we are. Good. It's an opportunity for you to find out more about the Profitable Coaches Mastermind. So definitely go to profitablecoachesmastermind.com. That's profitablecoachesmastermind.com. And based on that, you can sign up for the collaborative interview. And I can tell you more about the mastermind. You can decide if it's something for you. I'm really excited about how this mastermind is shaping up. There are 3 big topics from my body of work that are part of the mastermind that I'm going to be sharing with you. I think that you'll love learning how you can grow and scale your coaching business. And the mastermind is free, and so is the collaborative interview. So go to profitablecoachesmastermind.com and sign up for the Profitable Coaches Mastermind collaborative interview, networking and strategy call is what I call it. Because you get to know me, you get to ask questions, I get to ask questions of you, and we'll see if the mastermind is something that works for you at this point in time in your world. profitablecoachesmastermind.com is where you go. And the cool thing about how I've set it up, I'm sort of a tech head. So I've set it up so that you go straight to my calendar to sign up for the networking and strategy call. And then from the networking and strategy call, I'll send you to a page that gives you lots more information about the mastermind, if it is something that you want to do. I talk a little bit about it in our networking and strategy call, but more than that, I use that as an opportunity to get to know you, find out where you are in your business, understand what your goals are, see what challenges you may be having and how I might be able to serve you. And there's content that I give you as part of the mastermind, and the whole thing is complimentary. It's totally free. So hopefully you will go to profitablecoachesmastermind.com and sign up for a networking strategy call so that we can meet and find out if it's a good time for us to work together. profitablecoachesmastermind.com. So I told you today that it's all about making sure that I give you a new perspective about sales. And I hope I've done that. Be sure to let me know in the comments. I gave you the first 3 points. Sales is a conversation with your most ideal client. That means listening. That means paying attention to what's said and what's not said. It means knowing who your ideal client is so that you can establish that in a way that gives you an opportunity to bond with that most ideal client. Sales is a conversation. The second thing I told you was sales is not transactional. It is transformative, because the transaction, what leads to the transaction, happens long before you get to the actual transaction. There's some legwork you've got to do to connect with your most ideal client, to bond with them, to understand what kind of transformation they're seeking, to speak a language of that transformation with them. The third one I told you is sales involves intentional orchestration and compassionate consideration. When you look at the orchestration of a sales conversation, then it means you're putting structure to something so that you can show up and be authentic in that conversation. That's kind of how I look at the intentional orchestration and compassionate consideration, because you've got to listen to what's going on with the client as well. The fourth thing I said was sales requires your orchestration skills. That means you it's necessary to facilitate the transaction, and you must know what to do before, during, and after, whether it's a one-on-one strategy call or discovery session, or if it's one-to-many like a seminar or webinar or speaking from the stage. You've got to know before, during, and after. And I gave you lots of information about what's involved in that. And now the last thing I want to say is sort of rounding it all up together. Develop your sales skills. That means language, listening, and conversion. You won't hear me use the word closing a lot. At the academy, I have an expert who's a master closer, but I want to make sure you understand that conversion is moving your client from a place where they are potentially struggling, where something is going on with them, where there's a situation that they aspire to get to, and you're moving them from where they are in that aspiration to where they want to be, where you're helping them, knowing that you're serving them through your product, program, or service. And that's what sales skills really involve: language, listening, and conversion. Converting them is what I'm talking about. When you focus on your sales skills, what you're going to find is it also elevates your personal strengths. I didn't know that I was a salesperson for a long time. I've sold different things. I've sold copiers. I've sold crystal in China. I've sold office supplies. I've done a lot of different kinds of sales in my life. And I don't know that I considered myself to be a salesperson, because it always felt like, for me, sales was like the used car salesman who, has the plaid jacket and he's trying to sell you at any cost, and he's pushy and he's slimy and he's sleazy and he's salesy. So I didn't want to be associated with sales. But when I came to really embrace who I am as a salesperson, I understood that I don't sell that way. That's not how I sell. And then I started teaching my clients how to sell in a way that deepens your personal strengths, that helps you show up in authenticity, that helps you show up compassionate and considerate of your client, knowing that you are ready to serve and always willing to serve. And that's the bond that you create with the client in order to do that. These are skills that you can acquire just by understanding how to sell and how to service and how to support your most ideal client. The reason number 5 is develop your sales skills, your language, your listening, and your conversion skills, is because I know it elevates your personal strengths. I know that you're going to grow personally, not just from a sales perspective, but how you show up, the bond that you create. I got to tell you, sales is a responsibility. Like, you have a responsibility to show up in service to your clients, right? You got a responsibility to show up in language that helps them understand how you can support them. You got to show up with conversion language and skills so that you can move them into what it is you offer that's really going to make the difference for them in their business, their careers, their workplace, their whatever, in their relationships, in their lives, right? Whatever kind of coach you are. And when you show up there in responsibility, you show up there in accountability, what happens is your personal strengths grow. You learn to care more deeply about people, right? You learn to language things in a way that's not slimy, pushy, salesy, or sleazy, right? Your personal strengths are absolutely elevated because of how you're showing up with your clients. Because you are learning these skills, you're adopting these skills, you're growing these skills, and it's elevating who you are as a person. I got to tell you, when I first started coaching almost 22 years ago now, I still can't believe I'm saying that. But when I started coaching almost 22 years ago, the thing that I loved most about coaching was helping people. I got to see how what I said, if I asked a question, if I assigned something and exercised to them or something, I got to see how they grew through it, or I got to see what was getting in the way of them doing the things that they truly say they want to do in their lives. I didn't know that selling would also equate to some of those same skills. So elevating my personal strengths was important in terms of how I grew, and based on that, how my understanding of selling grew as well. So I hope this has been a good one for you. I've got about 7 more minutes, it looks like. So let me talk to you a little bit about the Profitable Coaching Mastermind. Profitable Coaches Mastermind is what I want to talk to you. So let me just do a recap. I've been talking about demystifying sales, and I hope I've given you, 5 things to consider. The first is sales is a conversation with your most ideal client. That means you got to know, like, and trust and understand your most ideal client in a very deep way. Then I talked about sales being transformative, not transactional, and what that looks like for you. It's about the transformation that you're creating for the most ideal client you're talking with. Third, I talked about sales being requiring an intentional orchestration and compassionate consideration for you and how you view your client. When you have orchestration, you have the ability to have structure in place, and it gives you the room to care about your client and not focus on the transaction, okay, or be attached to the outcome. The fourth I talked about, I'm sorry, I'm missing my numbers. Sales requires your orchestration skills. You've got to know what you're going to be doing before, during, and after. And when you know before, during, and after, it makes a world of difference. Then 5, developing your sales skills means that you develop skills in language, in listening, and in conversion, which also elevates your personal strengths. So let's go back to the advertisement for the mastermind, and on the other side of it, I'll tell you a little bit more about the mastermind. Barbara. Being a member of a business mastermind can lead to exponential growth in your coaching business and in your bottom line. But how do you know if the mastermind is right for you? The right mastermind offers an opportunity for you to discover new growth insights and proven business strategies while putting them into practice with the right tools to grow and scale your coaching business. The right mastermind connects you to other high-achieving coaches so you can partner and collaborate. The right mastermind guides your efforts to grow and scale your coaching business. In just a few days, I'm hosting an information call so you can discover how to reserve your seat in the Profitable Coaches Mastermind. You can get all the details at profitablecoachesmastermind.com. You're invited to join this group networking and strategy call, and it's absolutely free. And so is the mastermind. That's right, the Profitable Coaching Mastermind is a high-value complementary opportunity for you to discover how to grow your coaching business. It's also a hands-on workshop designed to offer strategy to scale your coaching business. It's also an activation session with implementation tools you can use to grow and scale your coaching business. That's right, the Profitable Coaching Mastermind is totally complimentary. So save your spot so you can discover how to join the mastermind. This is not a sales call. Nothing will be sold. There will be no selling. There will be no offer. It is an opportunity, so save your spot. This is your opportunity for a collaborative interview, and you get to ask questions and get answers. Hi, Income Acceleration Mentor WendyY Bailey here, and I'm so excited about the Profitable Coaches Mastermind. The information call is designed to give you a little bit more information about it and for you to sort of decide if it's the right time for you at this point. Remember, the information call is complimentary, and so is the mastermind. I'm so excited about it because I got to tell you, I have pulled 3 key pieces out of my body of work. We're going to talk in the mastermind about predictable coaching income. We're going to talk about business operations, and we're also going to talk about how you put your productivity into overdrive to create the sustainability in your coaching business. So be sure to sign up for the information call. I'm going to give you all the skinny when we meet, and I hope to see you in the mastermind as well. See you then. Awesome. So I wanted to share that with you again because that last part is the piece I want to go into a little bit of detail about with the time that I have left. The thing that I want you to know is when you look at your business, your coaching business, it's important for you to understand from your coaching business where your income is from a predictability perspective. You need to know and be able to predict your coaching income if you want to create sustainability in your session. So we're going to cover that in the mastermind. We're also going to talk about your operations. So what systems you're using and how you can automate and streamline your business. AI has some wonderful technology that can support you there. And then we're also going to talk about your income producing activities and how you can put your productivity on steroids to achieve lots more in your business. So be sure to go to profitablecoachesmastermind.com. That's profitablecoachesmastermind.com. And based on that, you can sign up for that networking and strategy call. I want to just go over and pull my last card, my next card for today. This is from a deck and you can't see it. You see it? Now you can see it. You have everything you need right now. You have everything you need right now. So I want to challenge you and encourage you with everything you need right now. That's the card that I'm pulling for today, and I want you to be encouraged. This has been the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with yours truly, WendyY Bailey. You can go to the after party at profitablecoachingsociety.com. That's profitablecoachingsociety.com. And we'll see you next time for another amazing episode. I look forward to serving you. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into Profitable Coaching Conversations with WendyY Bailey. Be sure to join us at the after party at www.profitablecoachingsociety.com. We'll see you next time for more sales and marketing wisdom and insight from WendyY and her amazing guests. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when new episodes are posted.